Oh, welcome to Zeitgeist Zealots. Who's the round table we got with us today? Let's start us off.
Forrest is here.
Major.
And I'm Robbie.
And it's Matt.
It's a special appearance by Matt. Quick, we gotta make this quick because Matt's a dad and he's got dad things to do. So let's go ahead and get to this hot D.
Yeah. So Matt, what did you see?
Oh, and we're also gonna be talking
about
about Marvel She-Hulk. So stick around for the second half of that. So let's jump right
I guess
into the return of Game of Thrones. Because this isn't actually Game
Matt,
of Thrones.
what'd you think?
This seems like a nice homage to Game of Thrones.
So from a high level, I will say overall it was pretty meh, but it has potential. I love where the storyline is going, but I'm quite curious as to where the money was spent.
The first 40 minutes. The first 2/3. The last 1/3, I had the same question. I was like, where did the budget go?
The CGI at times is almost comically bad. Like it literally looks like stop and put it over. Like it's comically bad. There's one scene in the beginning when she's flying the dragon, and you can see its wings go through a building.
Oh,
wow.
Really?
So it's like a video game lag almost. That's great.
But Matt, let me ask you this: as the only other person on the podcast who saw it, first episode of Hot D, and I'm going to call it Hot D. That's House of the Dragon. That's what George R. R. Martin calls it in his blogs. Hot D. It's short, so I'm calling it Hot D. Yeah, for those who don't know, that's George R. R. Martin's beloved name for this series. Yeah, the CGI. Oh, so comparing season 8 to the first episode of Hot D, does this not feel like a more return to Game of Thrones? This feels more seasons 1 through 4 than seasons 7 and 8.
No, and I like it, and I love how throughout the episode they tie in the future of Westeros. When they're all pledging loyalty at the end, you see, the different Baratheons, the different Starks, and Rickon Stark is the one. So they're obviously trying to, go back to the actual history of Westeros and tying everything together, which is a very George R. R. Martin thing. I love that. The gratuitous violence for no reason, was a bit, but that's a Game of Thrones season 2 through season 4 type thing.
Matt, if you could just educate me on this. I know Paddy Constantine is playing Aerys Targaryen. Is this the same Aerys Targaryen that Ned and Robert rebelled against? Or is this an earlier Aerys?
No, this is like
same. This is Aerys.
Yeah, this is almost 200 years before.
Yeah.
Okay.
This happened.
So I guess they just don't age that much.
But Viserys' dad, no. But Major Viserys' dad was Aerys Targaryen. That's like the king that was the Mad King they all rebelled against.
Yeah,
So
the
Targaryens love like all ruling families love to name each other after each other, which makes a prequel very confusing. So yes, excellent question, but no, Robbie, these people do not age extremely well, and Forrest, these are just names after names after names of naming people.
Well, I do believe with the Targaryens as well, they named each other after dragons from old Valyria, and that's part of the naming structure for the Targaryens. That's why you see same names popping up a lot.
Is
So
it
they name
Valyria the
dragons
name?
after old kings, and then they name new kings after old dragons. It's like, yeah, it's a good pattern. I see what they're doing there.
Is it Valyria the name of the kingdom that was pre-Conan, like that Cole lived in?
There's the Doom of Valeria. Yeah, Valeria.
From the Robert E. Howard Legendarium, I guess. Okay. But yeah, that's like what Atlantis was called, Valeria or whatever. Or the Valerian Age or something like that. I don't know. I only read like the Conan stories, not too many Cole ones, but yeah, so how are
Wait a second, Forrest. Listeners, if you've ever read a Conan material, book, comic, I don't care, anything but the Conan movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, tweet at us at ZZealot Podcast on Twitter, because I'd love to hear if anyone out there is well versed in the Conan verse. Sorry, go on, Forrest.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because they can't make any new Conan movies or TV shows right now because I guess the people who hold the rights aren't just producing, are just not producing anything. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to make a third Conan movie because he wants to like not remake, but like do sequels to every movie he's ever done except Predator apparently, and they couldn't make a deal, so they couldn't get the rights. But you know, it's funny. Like in France, they do have Conan comics. They just can't call it Conan. It's just called the Sumerian, and they're probably like the best Conan comics that have been made. But they can't use the name Conan. So, but yeah, let's get back to House of the Dragon. So,
so overall,
I guess what's the the family? I know Paddy Constantine is the king, and who's the rest of the family?
I mean, Matt Smith is there. With the most,
and he's the son.
Face. Yeah, no, he's the brother, Damien.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, which is based off of the word demon, according to George R. Martin, his blog. You get a really nice mixed portrayal. Like you get some nice sweetheart moments with Rhaenyra's his niece, right?
Rhaenyra's.
Isn't that her name, Rhaenyra's?
Oh, Rhaenyra. It's probably a lot of Y's and S's, like any other.
I'm gonna call her.
Name.
I'm gonna call her Rey for short, just to piss off all the Star Wars fans out there. So Rey, the main character Rey in the story, that's her uncle. And
she called herself Rey Stark at the end of the
Cat's Paw dagger. We get a little cameo.
Oh yeah, I think if I watch this show, like it's gonna be like Better Call Saul. If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, there's like so many like callbacks to Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna understand it.
This is the one thing I think Star Wars is kind of maybe doing correct. And like, if you're gonna be jumping like large spans of time, right? And that's relative large spans. For some series, that's years. For some, that's decades. Blah blah blah. It is nice to have like an interconnected character for the audience to relate to. Like, oh, I am familiar with that character. I have a sense of comfort. Now let me learn some new characters. And we don't have any of that in Hot D. All these people are brand spanking new.
So I will say we'll call it a pilot. For the first episode, you know, they did a great job in introducing kind of a little bit of backstory, the characters, the court intrigue, which I really loved. But it's hard to take in for a first episode and keep people hooked. So what I disliked was there was some very forced scenes of gratuitous violence, which usually is very Games of Thrones-y. But there were times during the tournament where it was just like, oh, we're just gonna shove a hole through this guy's head, or we're gonna bash him with this. No reason, just because we can. Or the scene with the city guard. Mm-hmm. We're gonna cut off this guy's penis because we can. We're gonna, slash this guy. It felt really forced.
You're 100% right, Matt. It seemed more gratuitous, like Boys, season 3. It was being gratuitous to be gratuitous, whereas in Game of Thrones, it was violent because that's what was happening, and it was being realistic. Whereas, Game of Thrones is realistic, whereas this is being gratuitous. I would agree 100% with that analysis.
That's funny.
Also, could I just point out my biggest problem with this whole episode was the vagina arena. The vagina arena that they play in.
Vagina arena?
The arena looks like a giant vagina. And they're not even trying to hide that it looks like a giant vagina. It is so childish, it's not even funny.
Isn't that just historically accurate?
No, it's not.
The opposite
not at all.
Symbol. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It is so obviously a vagina. And they're just doing it to do it, and that pissed me off. And I get there's some allegory because as they're doing it, the queen is giving birth to the future prince, and maybe they're trying to tie that in, but no, it's bad. And then I will say,
I'll tell you,
metaphor.
I'll tell you, bad story writing. Here's my biggest complaint, and I thought this was going to be your biggest complaint too, and not the anti-phallic symbol. No. So at the end, King, what's his name, and Rey Skywalker are talking in the basement of the Red Keep or whatever with the dragons and a bunch of candles, and it's pretty cool. It's a good setup. I really do like the scenery. It feels expensive and it feels real, and some parts you could obviously tell were CGI. It's real people set, green screen for the rest of the jousting arena or whatever. But at one point, the king is telling his daughter, who just got assigned, that she's going to be heir, right? She's got assigned the kingdom one day when he dies. And he tells her about a dream, a prophecy that the ancient Targaryens had about a dark winter and the end of humanity. And everyone's like, as a viewer at home, you're like, wait, is he just talking about like a long winter, or is he talking about like the long winter? Are we talking about Game of Thrones? And then like the king's like, and they call the prophecy a song of ice and fire.
Yeah,
and I was like,
thank you.
Oh wow,
Yes,
I was like,
bad.
Gross.
That's almost
that's the grossest amount of fan service I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's a joke.
To
He just said the name of the movie in the movie.
It made me feel like
he said it.
Guy.
There it is.
Like, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Family Guy when Peter's like, Griffin's like, he said it. He said it.
Yeah.
To solve this crisis, I'll have to become Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
And like, look, if you wanted to, if you wanted to like throw, God damn, the Superman 4, he said it.
I'll have to become
I
Superman
forgot
4,
about the end
Quest
of the
for
bit.
Peace.
That's so good.
And Major, really quick, what I loved about that scene and why it detracted from that scene was as he's telling the prophecy, it's the Baratheons that are swearing fealty, and then it's the Starks that are swearing fealty. It's all the Northern, it's the Tullys.
Oh, I know that last name. I know that last name. Oh, it's a Hightower.
It's all the Northern families who are swearing fealty as he's telling that story. Great, and then he says a song of ice and fire, and you're like, your brain just shudders to a stop.
Let's go play a Game of Thrones after this.
And you could just call it like, you could just be like, it's a prophecy of ice and fire. Like, there are ways to like hint, like, homage to it. But, like, it was so abrupt. It was just like poor story writing. It was like an AI was like, the Twitter gods demand that we insert a song of ice and fire. Like, let me break it down now. Like, it's not only stupid. Let's break this down for a second, right? Because it's stupid. You guys all agree it's stupid. But let's break this down for a second. Who is this reference for? Right? The casual audience or the hardcore fans? The casual audience hates Game of Thrones after season 7 and season 8. That's just, doesn't matter about reading the books or not. That was just bad. Like, you fell in love with seasons 1 through 6, and you fell in love with all the characters, and that was just bad story writing, and you hated maybe season 7, but definitely season 8, right? So, like, for the casual fan out there, they're not going to remember what the fucking book series is called of a TV show that broke their heart almost a decade ago. I mean, it started almost a decade ago. I know it hasn't been since it finished.
Yeah.
And the hardcore fans, who is that for? They're going to fucking hate this shit. Yeah. I don't understand writing these days.
So, Matt, you said this is not based off any books. So, like, if
so this is this is based off of a prequel he wrote 2 or 3 years ago. And I refuse to read the book because he should be finishing the other books.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Amen.
Maybe I'll read that because the reason I haven't finished Game of Thrones because I haven't read the books.
It's more of a legendarium. It's more of like an appendix. It's a textbook. It's not
like Silmarillion.
It's not a theatrical novel.
Hollywood loves adapting appendices. Look at Rings of Power.
I've heard nerds have a hard time getting through it. Let's just say that.
You can buy the BJ's on the cheap. But really quick, because I only have a few minutes left, I will have to draw attention to one of the hardest scenes to watch in TV history with the forced cesarean that they have in this. And having had one of my kids through that, it was like really, I couldn't watch it. I had to turn away because it was just beyond brutal. And I get that there's a point to it, but they just kept going with it and going with it and going with it. It's like, dude, you could like scan off screen and show people's reactions. You do not have to get like this. And this goes back to
the camera just slowly moves away and you see a river and some deer drinking from a pond.
So there's one part where she's screaming and they pan away and then they go back to the joust and then they come back to it and it's just like, stop.
You thought we were done, weren't you?
Yeah, it's like, stop. It's forced. It's unnecessary. And it's like, it's trying to show how far we can go because we're HBO and it really bothered me.
Yeah, it's like, I think there's a lot of HBO shows go for shock value rather than actual storytelling legitimacy. But yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the like the guy getting his winky or his wiener cut off, because I think they literally said like the sexual, like I think the showrunner said there like the sexual violence was going to be toned down, or like it wasn't going to be as gratuitous as it was in Game of Thrones. But it seems the sexual violence against men is still very much apparent in this show.
But
I guess they went to sexual
like,
violence against women.
They
gratuitous nudity
overall
is there.
violence and boobs.
Yeah, it's literally it's like an '80s slasher film, TNA. It's all TNA, and then somebody gets their wiener chopped off.
Well, let me reassure you, Matt, and the listeners out there. Don't you worry. If this is like every other HBO show of all time, it'll start with boobs and gore, and then it will completely dry up very quickly.
Yeah, I think Boardwalk Empire.
It's just to get you hooked into the season.
Well,
I think
it's
like I said earlier,
formula.
You have to introduce the court and the court intrigue, but you have to keep the viewer involved with the like hard stuff, and so that's why I feel like the violence is so forced in this episode. It was just thrown in there to like be like a bright light, say like, hey, look at this. Okay, back to the court intrigue.
On top of that, it was kind of boring, right? Like, we don't know who any of these characters are, so we don't have like the character development yet, or the character attachment yet. And they don't have any character development because it's a fucking pilot episode, right? So like, it was overall a boring episode. When I say like a return to Game of Thrones, like, if this is vastly successful, we'll go back and look at this and be like, oh, I love the pilot, right? Because we'll have already fallen in love with characters in the future. Maybe, because there's rumors have it there's a ton of time jumps in this first season, so I might not even have enough time to fall in love with any of the actors. I don't even know how they're gonna
for me, if they properly plant the seeds now and they call back to it in episode 7 and episode 10, then I will love this pilot, because there's definitely a lot of seeds that are planted.
Yeah,
but I can totally see them just brushing over a few things. But before I leave, overall, like I said, my 2 cents, pretty meh, especially with the CGI, but it looks like it has potential. So,
okay,
better than season 8. That's all I say.
Yeah, definitely already.
Which is like,
I think that's why. Book. I think this already has very high reviews on IMDb. I think it has like an 8.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm just like, I have a feeling this is like Jurassic World syndrome. Like, they're just overpraising it because it's better than the prequel.
Go back and rewatch the pilot for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, all right. Exactly.
Like,
that's what I have seen.
For a pilot, like I said, for a pilot, it's good.
It's good, right? Like, the first pilot wasn't amazing. You have some White Walkers. You have more intrigue, right? But like, so I've recently gone back and rewatched the whole series and rewatched like the pilot, right? And you're absolutely 100% correct. On like, rewatch the pilot. The first time around it doesn't hit as hard, but once you love these characters, it's a great episode. And if the characters hit it hard, I think that's exactly how it's going to be. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And I'm gonna bail before you guys start talking about She-Hulk, even though I have no desire whatsoever to see this thing.
She-Hulk.
You mean trash? Hulk trash.
Yeah. Anyone watch The Wire? I guess not. There's a character that goes she when he's upset.
No, but I've heard it's amazing. Yeah. Tweeted us at Zealots podcast
if you love Clay Davis from The Wire.
If you want Major and Robbie to watch The Wire, we'll do it if we get enough requests.
I think you'll like it more than well. It's not comedy, but obviously, but
it's definitely not comedy. It's The Wire.
I think you'll like it in season 8 of Game of Thrones, at least.
I mean, I
94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The Wire, it's like one of
The Wire.
Like one of the most highly acclaimed television shows of all time.
Yeah, it's like like everyone wanted to have their own version of Sopranos. Like, Sons of Anarchy is Sopranos for biker gangs. Breaking Bad. Well, what's another like version? Like like a Boardwalk Empire was Sopranos, but in the 20s, like The Wire is like Sopranos, but like for like black gangs in Baltimore. Sort of.
Are you just talking about dark TV shows? Or are you talking about gang TV shows?
Well, just like all the shows that Sopranos like inspired, like Breaking Bad, Boardwalk Empire, Sons of Anarchy, Dexter. I mean, there's like several others, but like everyone wanted to have their own Sopranos. Like everyone wants to have their own Game of Thrones now. So,
well, speaking of Breaking Bad, let's talk about Marvel's newest attempt, She-Hulk.
In which she breaks things and it's bad.
Yes. It's so bad.
All right. So
how do you want to do this? Do you want to do overall opinions? Who's familiar with the source material? I've caught up thanks to the Glorious.
Yeah, I think I'll at least say that
YouTube.
Oh,
It's funny 'cause I
apparently
think
there's a
She-Hulk-
QR code to read the first comic. I'll have
Yeah,
to go
they have-
back and like.
Yeah, I think
marvel on that.
I think she debuted in her very own series, unlike like other characters that usually like start off as supporting
So-
characters.
Fun fact: we're all familiar, like, if you're not super familiar, you're all aware of the Hulk television show in the 70s that was incredibly successful with Lou Ferrigno, right? So CBS wanted to do a spin-off of that where it's a female Hulk, all right? And Marvel caught wind of it while it was in pre-production, and Marvel figured, hey, we can get a comic out way before they can get a television show out. And so they got with Stan Lee and another creator who, I apologize, I can't remember. And they pumped out a comic book so they could beat CBS to the IP rights for a female Hulk character.
For She-Hulk.
I think the same thing happened with Spider-Woman. Like they were worried they were going to lose the trademark to Spider-Woman, so they made up a Spider-Woman comic, and it was like really weird. Like she was like a woman who evolved from a spider, or something like that. It was like a really weird origin, but it was just like it wasn't like Peter Parker where she was like bit by a radioactive spider.
Spider-Gwen? No. But
No, that's
so
a different one.
She-Hulk-
But yeah, same
the She-Hulk
thing.
origin, the She-Hulk origin is I would say it's pretty damn good. I'm not sure why they variated from.
I mean, it's like she gets her
I'll
she gets the
have
whole sun in her blood. It's not
yeah,
it's
had
not
blood.
really it's not really like that well thought out. It's just like we need to have a female Hulk. So like they're cousins, so they already have like similar DNA. So they just gotta get like the blood.
So what were
the
your all
blood.
thoughts? So I took some notes, obviously, and I took some notes on my third rewatch because the first two rewatches were so critical that I felt like any kind of notes would just be ranting.
Well, it's a
So let's
lawyer
go
show with
some
very little
overall- Let's
lawyering.
get some overall thoughts. So, Force, you said it's a lawyer show with little lawyering, right?
With
That's
very
not-
little, it's like the beginning, like I'm a lawyer, and then no lawyering until like the last 3 minutes, and just like
So
in
you
the
know,
room.
so
Before
a little
she
behind
can-
the scenes for why that was. The origin story we saw, like how she like walks out of her office with the paralegal, right?
When she
and
breaks
walks
the
back.
fourth wall right
And then
away.
then she walks back in and breaks the fourth wall right away, right? One, what is?
I didn't know she was going to do that.
We'll get back to the fourth wall. I've got lots of questions about the fourth wall. But so what happened is that they tested the series out with a test audience, right? And they didn't like it. So what they did was they took the origin story, which they for some fucking reason put in episode 8 of a 9-episode run, right? And they re-edited episode 8 to go to episode 1. Right, so the origin story where she's with Bruce and everything, right?
That was supposed to be 8 episodes.
That was supposed to be episode 8, and they moved that to episode 1. And you're talking about a trial scene, so like, fast forward to the end of the episode, right? And she says, "All right, now that you've caught up." Before I do that, one, it's. I feel like she was insulting the audience, right? She's like, "Oh, apparently you guys." Aren't going to get past this until the explanation of how I became the Hulk. So let me explain that to you, right? So I was like, what the fuck? Like I was like, wait, is she insulted? Is she insulting the fucking audience 2 minutes into her fucking new television show, dude? But then I'm in the background story, and that it just tested poorly. So you know what that means to me? Bitter ass writers, right? Bitter ass writers who wrote what they thought was like the most amazing 9-episode fucking television show ever, and it did not test well with the audience, and so they got the critique back from the Marvel and the producers, and they're like, take the origin and fucking put it in the first episode, you dumbasses. Like, it's an origin for She-Hulk. Don't leave the origin for She-Hulk to the penultimate episode of the first season. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what is, like, Marvel Spider-Man did it so right by just skipping the origin and jumping straight into like Spider-Man already having his powers, whatever. But at the end of it, right, we come out of the whole story, and she's like, all right, now back to the trial. right? Because like let's like now that you're done with this,
we don't even know what's the trial's about. So
now
why
that
do
we're
I
done
care?
with this stupid Marvel TV show, right? The stupid superhero origin. Let's get back to this Ally McBeal like trial comedy drama or whatever. And then before the end of the episode, a random villain comes in. We don't know her name. We don't know her origin.
For who
There's
knows
no setup.
reason.
Exactly. Jump.
And she beat it in like 2 seconds, in like 5 seconds. Like her contemplating whether she should become She-Hulk was longer than the actual fight.
The worst wire work ever. And you know why it took her long to contemplate it? She was like, "Oh, I really like this outfit." Record scratch. I'm sorry. You're telling me you were contemplating saving people's lives versus your fucking outfit? Like, I'm not even being like misogynistic here, right? Like, this is just like a question of like morals. Like, do I want to like save my shoes or save my like jacket, or do I want to save these fucking people?
Unless it was like she's hiding.
It seems like something a man would write, like a sexist man
Like-
would write. Like she doesn't want to save her because she's like
not
might
like
ruin
an
her clothes.
empowering.
That's
all
something
knows
a
about
sexist
her.
man would write. You know,
At that
That's
point.
right. Rob, we don't know.
female.
We don't know. They
Yeah.
took episode 8 and they spliced into episode 1, so we have fucking no idea. Like,
It could have been
how
just
long
her
it's been.
friend, or just everybody knows she's She-Hulk now.
But let's go ahead and break down. Let's go ahead and kind of walk through the episode here. So we talked about this a little bit with the fourth wall break, but this seems to be an in-universe fourth wall break, right? Like she doesn't just break the fourth wall while people are all around her, like Deadpool, right? Like Deadpool was like in the middle of shooting people, and then he would just like stop the camera and be like, "Oh, hello there. You might be wondering what I'm doing on this bridge." Right? But she's like, "Excuse me, I need to like leave the room so I can talk to the audience." And then like fast forward later on, she tries to talk to the audience again, and it looks like Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, Smart Hulk, can fucking hear her. So like, what do you guys think is going on with this fourth wall break?
Well, I think it's like it happened in the comics, and that's sort of like what she was sort of known for.
Oh,
And
okay.
she
And
was
it's
doing it
amazing in the
before
comics, but like,
Deadpool.
I'm sorry, that's a great. I'm sorry, I should clarify. What do you think it means for the MCU? What the fuck is fourth wall breaking
I mean,
in the MCU?
they're just like, I mean, there's probably be like, because they're bringing Deadpool in, so there's probably be like, you know, they're probably gonna meet. He's probably gonna meet She-Hulk at some point, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, you break the fourth wall too." So I guess they're just like preparing for Deadpool's arrival, but also, you know, it's funny, like this happened in the comics, and it was just like there's like one comic where she's like jump roping naked. She's like, "I know what you're thinking. Marvel will do anything to sell a book." She's like jump roping naked, and but it's like you can't see anything because like the jump rope like is covering her.
It's
naughty
still,
bits,
still a
but-
Marvel comic. To speak to that force, I think it'd be really funny if She-Hulk had to like get from where she was to where she needed to be to fight a bad guy, and you just see her run across set. Like, so there's like a really infamous panel where she like, you know, she like jumps across panels to get to where she needs to be. And I think it'd be really funny for her to like run from one set, and then you see her running off set, and then run onto the set of another person, or run onto another set, and then face like the bad guy. Like, I think that'd be like really cute ways to like break the fourth wall. Rob, what about you? What did you like it? Did you like the fourth wall break? Does that mean anything?
Yeah.
Does it shatter your Kang
I
universe?
do like it when Deadpool does it. I actually wasn't expecting She-Hulk to do that.
That was a good surprise for you.
Yeah, I'm going with it.
Nice.
I'd say it's watchable.
Definitely
I'll say.
watchable.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
I
I
it's
like.
enjoyable, but for the podcast, it's definitely watchable.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Mark Ruffalo as Hulk in this. I mean, he probably had like more character development than any other. I mean, he was definitely like, you know, yeah. I mean,
I've got
I
some
think
opinions.
he did a good job. Like the actor Mark Ruffalo did a good job, even though like he didn't have a whole lot to work with in this. And you know, there's the montage where he's training She-Hulk, and
So, well,
you
let's break it through. So, She-Hulk, Jen, is obsessed with Captain America's virginity, and I just want to point out like the
kinda
weird. Oh, yeah.
awkwardness of this, right? Like, so she's talking to her uncle, right? But this isn't like Captain America to her uncle. Like, this is like her coworker. So this would be like you sitting in the car with your uncle asking about his coworker's virginity. Like, it's just like it's like when you break it down, like that's a weird conversation.
That's true.
Right? Like, and like Bruce like mentions it. Like Bruce is like, "Hey, I was like, that's my friend and coworker." Like, it's fun to speculate on the message boards, but it's also kind of like none of your damn business. But then we see, you know, so they're driving on the road, and then like a Sicarian, carrier class 1 message vehicle like comes right, and there's like a ton of like Sicarian questions in this episode 1, many of which does not even matter to bring up because I really doubt the show.
Well, I think they're setting up World War Hulk because for the uninitiated, the Hulk had a son while he was on Sakaar in the comics.
Scar.
And Scar. He's like a shape-shifting Hulk, or he's
And
called
that's like
Hulkling, right?
SKAARR, something like it's it's not STAR.
I think it was like from Greg Pak's run, which I haven't really read, but I think they're going to do World War Hulk. I think they're finally getting the movie rights for the Hulk back from Universal, so I think there's finally going to be another solo Hulk movie at last. But
who needs another solo Hulk movie? Like, give me World War Hulk in a 6-episode and 8-episode like Disney Plus format.
do you really want that CGI on the TV screen again? Or would you rather see it in like a film theater?
I don't want World War Hulk. I don't want the World War Hulk storyline in 1.5 hours.
Oh, we lost Rob. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how this goes. I mean, I'm strongly thinking that's why the Sakaar ship. Because I think like at the end of this season, there's gonna be a after credit scene with Hulk, and he's gonna meet his son. You know, I think that's gonna be the.
That's probably exactly
son
it,
of
because
Hulk.
you know he
Hulkling.
originally met them not to like be not the hammer in this point, but like like that was supposed to be episode 8, so like Hulk would have met him in episode 8, so we probably won't hear much more about that. Until maybe later on, maybe episode 9.
First of all, I think his name is Hulkling, which is probably the most unintimidating name
that's a
ever.
terrible name.
I like that name.
But I think he's also his boyfriend is Wanda's son. I think Wiccan. They're like boyfriend and boyfriend in the comics, so maybe he likes.
Haven't kept up with it.
Hulkling is going to show Wiccan his dingaling.
Let's talk about Bruce. So Bruce bleeds into
Hulking dingling.
Jen, and she becomes the Hulk. She blacks out a couple of times. We see what the director called the most important scene in the episode.
Yeah, like a bunch of women see like a woman who's like beaten up, bruised, and covered in dirt. Instead of like calling the police, they give her a makeover. Which another thing that a sexist man would write if he was writing a female superhero show and not a progressive woman.
I also want to point out,
it was very bizarre.
Has the screenwriter ever been to a bar before? Because that was like the most empty a female like bar. Like every bar I've ever been to, there's a line coming out.
Like they would all be at a club. They would all be like a club in like I don't know which city they were in. I guess California.
It was a very diverse, from the bathroom crowd inside to the group of degenerate, sketchy ass fucking guys outside, all waiting for their Uber XXL. I don't know what they were all fucking doing outside, but that was a very diverse group of people in that random ass fucking bar.
And they gave her a pair of shoes and a jacket. It's like, no one's that.
Yes.
I don't know. I've seen drunk girls give drunk girls shoes before. 100%. Like I'm okay with that. Like that's like it was over the top. Like maybe someone should call the cops or ask for consent. Like if you're gonna be spraying her with hairspray, right? Like you didn't even fix.
Or maybe
maybe
call her a cab at the very least.
You're spraying dirt into her hair. But so like that was dumb. So she gets harassed and then she starts to Hulk out and black out, right? Now, which later on we find out that she's actually in control of her power the whole time. So like there's like some controversy around the scene, whatever. We go to the Hulk hideout in Mexico. I like the Hulk hideout. What do you guys think? Trademark that bitch.
I don't know. I didn't realize Mexico had like palm trees, which shows how ignorant I am. Although I did go to Cancun and Cozumel as a kid. So
we're this far into the MCU, and Marvel writing's gotten so bad that I wouldn't be surprised if like the foliage isn't even accurate for the scenery these days.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
She-Hulk has such amazing blood that Bruce Banner Smart Hulk was able to somehow just inject her blood into his blood and it fixed his arm. I don't know much about science. That seems like a weird experiment.
However that happened.
But so anyway, so she says. So here's my.
And then it's just her in there.
And she's like, so that means I'm like better than you now? Like, and what is this like question going on here? And then she has the audacity 10 seconds later to call him Smug Hulk. Right? Like, she's like, she's been Hulk for 2 minutes. And she's like, oh, so I'm better than you at being a Hulk? And then she calls him Smug Hulk. I have no problem with, like, a strong female protagonist. And I actually have no problem with Mary Susie. I'm citing my love for The Rise of Skywalker, and like, I gotta, like, fuck Rey, like, whatever, like, I'm okay with that as long as you have some kind of character arc. This seems to just be straight up. But what I have a problem, or I have a legitimate problem with, is bad writing, right? Like, my wife, dude, like, who is this TV show? My wife fucking hated it. She thought the writing was garbage. And if this isn't written for a 29-year-old nerd, or female nerd or whatever, I don't know who this is written for.
I think it's rated for women in their late 30s.
In the late 30s, are they buying toys? I don't know who this was rated
I guess
for.
so. Yeah, it's strange. But yeah,
it's rated for women in their late 30s.
So anyway, the Hulk. Let's go on. Let's keep talking about bad writing. Let's talk about bad writing while we're talking about this scene, right? So after all this bullshit goes down, the Hulk says, "Holy shit, am I jealous?" Right? And, like, so there's something called being green with jealousy.
Green with jealousy.
Right? And, like, how fucking hard is it to write that into the fucking script? Like, these are the fucking dumbest writers in the fucking
What you mean,
world.
green
like,
with envy?
Green with envy, green with, jealousy. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, they're both right there. Like, the Hulk is fucking green. Like, the Hulk is green and the Hulk smashes. Like, those are the two fucking characteristics of the Hulk. And you're talking about jealousy, aka envy or whatever, and you couldn't fucking write that darling of a line. Like, this is purposely bad writing. This has to be. Like, no one could. I refuse to believe you could get hired. Like, there has to be some kind of process of hire. This has to become a hiring process to become a Marvel writer.
Well, I think the head writer wrote the Pickle Rick episodes. That was her claim to fame. And I mean, even that episode, I think is overrated.
I'm Pickle Rick. That was the whole fucking line.
It had a green character as the main character.
You know what? That was about as successful as
Feige was like, oh, she must be good, right? She-Hulk.
Yeah, just like the person who created the Hot Pocket jingles, good at fucking jingles.
Yeah.
Hot Pocket.
So I guess I think what pissed people off was, like, Bruce has been through so much. He's been a fugitive. He can't have it. He couldn't even have sex. He remember in the first Incredible Hulk, he couldn't have sex. He was become the Hulk, and then Jen's just like, well, I've been catcalled. I have to deal with incompetent men. Not incompetent women.
Which
only
is all
incompetent
terrible.
men.
All terrible. But you know what we've seen as the MCU audience? You know what we've seen? We've seen the Hulk try to kill himself. We've seen him put a bullet. We've seen him put a gun in his mouth, pull the trigger, and we saw the big guy spit it back out. Right? Quote unquote, whatever. So just, it's weird to have like a pissing contest of like my life sucks. Well, my life sucks, and I try to kill myself on camera. And then so she was talking, and she's like, first off, Forrest, you want to go back to it sounds like a man wrote this fucking script when he was talking about the two characters of the Hulk being like angry and something else. And then Jennifer was like, oh, those are the basic characteristics of being a woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my wife was like, what? And to put something in perspective, while I was in the Air Force, she's usually the only woman in the fucking hangar.
She's been through a lot, man.
It's just, I don't understand who this was. Who was this written for? Who is this for? I do not understand. So in the comics, let's break this down. In the comics, She-Hulk does have more control initially than the regular Hulk, because she gets she becomes the She-Hulk through a blood transfusion
and not radiation.
So the Hulk is stronger because he had direct exposure to gamma radiation, where she only has it through blood, right? Which means which is why she's in more control. But in the comics, as a sacrifice, she's a lot weaker, right? Because she didn't have that direct exposure. But here, it seems like she's skipping 15 years of the Hulk, and she's stronger, or at least more agile.
She's stepping up all the things he was doing.
Yeah. So, like, I want to point out a couple things. One, I did enjoy the boulder scene because we saw we saw in the trailers, it was like he threw a boulder and she threw it further, and then it cuts away to another thing, and then you get some toxic ass woke white men online be like, oh, how is she stronger? And then it's like, in the
But then it shows them throwing it like a meteor.
Fucking throws it into outer space. Dude,
and you see it catch on fire too when it hits going
dude.
out of atmosphere. It was
I fucking
Hopefully
love
there's
it.
no
I
other
was like,
boat out there.
oh, dude, I can't wait for like some Marvel property in the future with like someone just flying around like like above the atmosphere, and then like fucking random like rock just comes flying past them.
He takes out a satellite.
Oh man, that would be great. And then I'll tell you, like, as someone who used to be a bodybuilder, I'm not that super flexible. Like, a very fit woman at the top of my prime, right, could have kicked my ass in yoga. And I know because I went to yoga classes. Like, people walk in, they'd be like, oh, that guy's jacked. Like, he's like, what's up? And it's like, nah, dude, this muscle's just weighing me down. I can't do this at all. I can't stretch. I'm not flexible. But besides those two comments, the rest is completely just like physically bullshit. Like the Hulk, his muscles, which by the way, the CGI did look good on the Hulk for the most part. But like his biceps are bigger than her entire torso. And then you're going to tell me she stands even close to a chance? Now, I'll give you guys a chance to defend this because I'm going to state this one fact. Maybe the Hulk has been weakened because he was taken out by a Jeep, right? The Hulk that we were talking about.
Yeah, that was so weird.
The Hulk that we're talking about was like fucking indestructible, had an amazing 5-minute fight scene with Tony Stark's Hulkbuster armor, right? Like that was an amazing scene in Age of Ultron. Like that was so good. But it turns out like Tony didn't have to spend billions and billions of dollars with like a satellite and like this amazing Hulkbuster armor. He just needed like a Jeep or a Hummer.
Well, it's also
really
like
take out the Hulk.
it's also like the more anger, the more strength he has, and he's kind of like calmed down yoga Hulk right now.
He is. Yes.
So that could like, and plus he wasn't like trying to destroy her; it was just trying to slow her down.
Pretty sure the Jeep should just crash into him and not be able to move at all, no matter how hard he goes on the gas.
But yeah, it did seem to like shove him out of the way.
Someone who can like throw a boulder into like the stratosphere should not be dented by or even like moved at all.
And like he's probably the same weight as that Jeep. or more.
And on top of that, like, so like, let's say he was just playing around, like play fighting with her. Don't you think he would have like stopped as soon as they got close to the shack? Right? His bar, like the one thing he fucking treasures. He's got no friends, as she pointed out. He's got no one in his life. All he has is this bar, and he can't even get drunk. Which we'll get into that. Like I don't know how that's supposed to be the upside of being a Hulk. That's fucking
good thing they didn't succumb to temptation.
Yeah, think of all the money
and the only woman he can probably like have relations with and not kill.
Not anymore.
All the money and liquor they were spending on that night.
All I can hope for is that Bruce got it in before his wristband broke. His prototype wristband.
Yeah, well, it's funny because if you read like the Old Man Logan series, like Hulk does have children with She-Hulk, like, but it's in the future. It's like a dystopian future, but it's like Bruce Banner has like gone insane, so he just has children with She-Hulk, and it's funny because like the final issue of that series is like Wolverine versus Hulk because that was Wolverine's debut in a Hulk issue, so it's a nice little throwback. But yes, that has happened. But I'm glad they didn't succumb to temptation.
What do you guys think? Is super fast metabolism and not being able to metabolize alcohol, is that a superpower? Is that a pro or weakness?
Well, didn't Captain America able to do that?
Captain America hated it. The Flash hated it. I'm not sure why. And like this is just more bad writing. Why
can't get drunk? Yeah, why are they?
That's like a punishment. That's not a boon.
Hey, and then so this is just let's talk about
bad, right? I agree with you there.
Right? They're like, oh, so like, I was just talking about how bad like the Hulk is. Like maybe we talk about the good stuff of being the Hulk, like getting drunk. Like first off, this is a Disney Plus show. Why don't you talk about the good things of being a Hulk, like how you saved the fucking world, how you saved some car, like make up a story. I don't care, but instead you're gonna push booze. So one, bad Marvel, bad Disney Marvel, and then two, It doesn't make any sense. That's terrible. And then 3, the Hulk who tells her this later gets tricked by her being quote unquote wasted, right? And then he reveals the secret about Captain America, and then she like sobers up really fast, and then she like stops the act. And he's like, "Wait, you're not drunk?" And it's like, "No, motherfucker, you told me you can't get drunk."
Well, was it? Maybe she was human. I don't know, but I'm defending the show. I feel bad, but it's like imagine telling Barney Gumble that he could never get drunk. He'd be like, "No," or however he sounds. But yeah, just imagine someone like
George of the Jungle couldn't get drunk. No,
I need beer. I don't know. How's he say?
I need beer after watching this. So, look, there's a fight. It's dumb. The Hulk gets crushed by some rocks. The Hulk is crushed by a Jeep. The CGI is good. CGI is bad. Blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, the fight was worthless because nothing gets resolved, and then the Bruce Banner, the Hulk, just fucking lets
it was like anyway. Civil War. There was no stakes.
So here is one of my problems. At the beginning of the episode, right, it opens the fucking first episode of the first time we see She-Hulk, right? The debut episode, it opens up and we see her and she's practicing her speech, but she's talking about responsibility and the responsibility of people with power or corporations with power. And is it the responsibility to just stand idly by, or is it the responsibility to do something, right? And like in good writing, it would parallel this trial with what's going on with her heart and her life and her storyline, right? Like from this flashback, we see that she does not want to be a superhero at all. She has no desire to be a superhero.
Just wants to be a lawyer.
She has great power, but doesn't want the responsibility. However, we then flash back, and then the flashback ends, and we go back to this trial, and she's about to give this speech about how this company is bad because they have great power and they don't want to have responsibility, which just makes her a fucking hypocrite. Right?
Yeah, it's like,
this is bad writing.
Doesn't her paralegal have to literally twist her arm?
I don't
Not literally, but literally twist her arm to get her to change?
I wouldn't care if this was 1,000%.
Doesn't want to rip her clothes.
If this was 1,000% anti-men, right? Like this is some kind of woke agenda, feminist movement. Like let's get more fucking pro-feminist icons. Fine, whatever, but don't make it bad writing. Like the folly of this show is bad writing. Well, why can't She-Hulk be a feminine icon, right? Oh,
only 1,000%. Why so low?
Because the writing is so goddamn terrible.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll find out what Titania is all about because.
Who? Who's that? I don't know. Because exactly. Are you talking about the person who bought Mr. Kool-Aid? They didn't. Yeah. They didn't. So fucking. Not to mention the worst wire.
Yeah, they didn't say who that was.
They didn't say who it was. There was no character motivation, and I'm sure we would have.
So was that who that was?
We would have gotten. Yeah, it's Titania from the comics. I'm sure in the original episode we would have gotten some character motivation. We probably would have gotten a fucking name, or at the minimum, right? But because they spliced episode 8 into episode 1, we didn't have any time for episode 1, and then they're like, all right, time for the flashback, the stupid superhero stuff is over, time to get the Ally McBeal trial comedy show. But I think Marvel is so afraid of losing viewers and them just being watching the origin and then not watching episode 2 that they immediately backtrack from that. We don't see 5 seconds of this fucking trial before
what's the trial even
jumps in, and it's like, just kidding, we're still a Marvel show, there's still bad guys, don't leave, come back for episode 2. Dude, it's so fucking thirsty, and that's because Marvel knows how fucking bad this is, but they can't cancel it, right? They don't have
they gotta sprinkle a joke into everything too.
Was this funny? This was supposed to be a comedy, right? Let me ask you this: I didn't think this was funny, and then when you put it in perspective of this is coming from Marvel, right? Marvel, who undercuts every single serious scene. It's a death scene, it's a tragedy, it doesn't matter. Every single serious scene gets undercut with a joke, but this wasn't funny at all.
No. But, we got preached to, so,
Amen.
That's what matters.
See what I did there.
So, yeah, so
can I just say I'm fucking stoked for episode 2. Let's go.
It can only get better, right? It can only get better.
Yeah.
How much worse could it get?
Well,
Um,
well, what's going to be in episode 8 now?
Famous last words.
Now that we saw like half of episode 8.
Feige's like challenge accepted. Yeah, I don't know. We'll I mean, I'll watch it. I mean, I don't think
I'll
Mark
still watch
Ruffalo
it.
is going to come back unless he was like the only thing that he definitely saved this episode for what little good there was. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I need to watch. It's so cruel that Better Call Saul ended the same week this started. Like an excellent lawyer show, like ends, and then like an awful lawyer show begins.
Just
Isn't
just wait until
life
Daredevil
cruel?
gets ruined. Just wait until Daredevil gets ruined.
Oh yeah, and his
The
yellow
show.
costume, which totally does not work in live action. But hey,
The-
and
the
like
writers-
they've already said, like, yeah, we're going to see the lighthearted version of Daredevil.
The
It's
light,
like,
yeah, I was
oh,
gonna say the
can't wait.
writers. Oh, dude,
I
no,
can't
it's
wait for
so
the
bad.
Disney-fied, family-friendly, approved, version of Daredevil.
Rob, one more thing. You might not be keeping up with the articles like Forrest and I have, so you might not have read this, but the screenwriters have admitted that they don't know or they're not comfortable with writing courtroom content, like
Yeah,
courtroom
like,
scripts.
Shouldn't you have gotten like a writer from like Boston Legal?
So if
or,
you're wondering why there's not a lot of
actually
courtroom
Alex
drama,
Reveal-
it's because they don't, like, the writers admit they don't know how to write it, which is a weird choice for writers for a courtroom TV show. But I mean, I'm not the head execs at Disney, so
And like, there's
fuck do I
probably like
know.
legal dramas that there have been female staff writers on, and they couldn't like bring any of those. They just chose the woman from Rick and Morty.
Just get a legal consultant to spice it up.
Yeah, but there's like so many legal
writer.
dramas out there. They could, I mean, they had to get a female showrunner. They just had to, and just because of the.
Hey,
the society.
Legally Blonde was written by Amanda Brown. I've never seen Legally Blonde, but I feel like that fits.
Yeah, but there was like so many more qualified people to be in charge of this show than I guess they should not have gotten someone who doesn't know how to do courtroom dramas. But anywho, yeah, I guess maybe I'll watch this. It premieres on, Thursdays. So
Woo! Which
Yeah.
means that we'll be following it on the podcast here. At,
the woo is air escaping my fat flaps as I'm rolled out because I died watching this show.
Don't worry. Hot D will bring it back to
Futurama.
life for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we have. You want to plug our social media, Mage?
Absolutely, I do. You guys can follow us on Twitter at ZZealot Podcast. Let us know what you think about that Hot D. Do you want some more Hot D, or should this have been canceled like the other 4 spinoffs that was pitched? What do you think about She-Hulk? Is this Hulk smash or is this Hulk trash? Let us know at
that's nice.
ZZealot Podcast. Thank you, for
You
us.
prepared that, didn't you?
And thanks so much for listening. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. We really appreciate it, everyone. And the outros.
Yeah. All right. I'm Forrest,
I'm Major.
Now I'm Robbie.
and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Oh, trash!